Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play one, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady, Kannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard.
Let's go!
As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Kannon.
Welcome in, everybody. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Week 14 in the NFL. 5 weeks remain in Las Vegas Football Contest season. I am Brady Kannon, along with my friends James Salinas and Mike Pritchard. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. Let's take a look at what happened during Thanksgiving, week 13. Of course, there was the carnage, unprecedented carnage. Again, I shouldn't say unprecedented. It happened last Thanksgiving as well. Circa Survivor down to just 45 entries remaining. They were down to 49 after week 13A, if you will, Thursday and Friday. Sunday, not so bad. The Los Angeles Rams took out 4 entries with their loss to the Carolina Panthers. Grandissimo, it's done. All 6 remaining entries lost on Thursday and Friday last week. The 6 remaining entries split the $6.9 million. Our friend Tony Gordon, congratulations. He takes a share of that $1.15 million for his team. Super Survivor over at the Westgate SuperBook, over $500,000 on the line there heading into week 14. As far as the against the spread contest, the consensus, another ho-hum week, 3-2 in the Super, 2-1 in Circa. Now 40% on the season, 51, 75, and 4. Been a decent run here on the Football Contest Show for us, seeing if we can still find our way into the money in some of the mini contests. We made a run, took some gambles last week in the Circa Quarterly. Didn't work out. The new quarter and the final quarter begins here in week 14. Also, congratulations, the inaugural SuperContest College Contest. D. Fleming 22 takes home $216K. Our friend Chris Felica bears bets, finishes in 8th and takes home $9,000. Gentlemen, let's get right to it here. Week 14 is upon us, and we begin in Minnesota. The Washington Commanders, it looks like Jaden Daniels will be back. It looks like J.J. McCarthy will be back. A couple of young quarterbacks in this one, drafted in the same draft class, will face off in Minnesota. James, we'll start with you.
Look at this, and you have Jaden Daniels coming back, and the perception will be, wow, look at Washington last week. Was a one play away, get that 2-point conversion in overtime, and you beat the Denver Broncos at home. We knew we had Washington last week, figured that was going to be, in a sense, the Super Bowl for them coming off their bye and needing to kind of right themselves. A lot of competitive pride showed up for that team in that game, considering the last couple games that they played at home on prime time, got completely wiped out. So a great effort and a really competitive match from the Washington Commanders. But now going on the road, and you look at J.J. McCarthy, I think with what we've seen from him in and out of the lineup with all the injuries, the poor fundamentals that he has throwing the football, it's been just a really struggle for him to get any kind of traction offensively. And obviously the young rookie last week stepping in at Seattle, tough place to go up, and for Bromer on the road and really got waxed. But the one consistent piece we know with the Vikings, Pritch, is that defense shows up and that defense brings it. And I think here, just because Jaden Daniels is coming back, we know that line in the contest, it's 2 and 2.5 respectively between the Super Contest and Circa. That number is probably now down to a pick 'em in the live market here on Friday morning as we speak and tape this show. I think that's going to be where a lot of contest players say, hey, there's value there. This is 2.5. We're getting 2.5, and this probably might close even on the side with Washington getting a point or so. I think that's where for us needing to kind of zig and zag against the contest theory with where we're at in the standings. This to me feels like, yeah, we're getting the worst of it, but I think from a contest perspective, we'll be getting the best of it, Pritch, if we take the Vikings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with that assessment right there, James. I mean, you think about this matchup too. Jaden Daniels coming back, and he hasn't really been a consistent player for them. As we had Mariota, I mean, they started to look pretty good with Mariota in that offense. They started to adjust to it. The main reasons is Cliff Kingsbury, and you think about Mariota and what he did in college. He won the Heisman Trophy with this style of offense. And so he started to get more comfortable with it. And certainly the weapons came back for him, and they were able to be prolific at times. Now, defensively is where you worry about the Commanders a little bit here. But do you worry about them against the Vikings? I mean, I feel for JJ. I feel for him trying to find his way in the National Football League as a guy who was drafted so high. And they gave away Daniel Jones. They gave away some other players just so they could move on. You moved on from Sam Darnold. And so just because they needed McCarthy to mature and certainly take hold of that franchise quarterback situation. But it hasn't materialized, but they are immensely talented. I mean, you think about the receiving core, you think about what they can do there, not only from the receivers, but from a tight end standpoint too. I just, less is more. And I agree with you. I think defensively, Flores will bring it. Maybe make things difficult for Daniels, who has not seen a lot of football. There's a chance for the Vikings in this game at home against the Washington Commanders. Brady, what do you think?
Well, I tell you, James, you were spot on. Not only pick 'em, but Washington has now moved to the favorite in the live market. The announcement coming that Jaden Daniels has upgraded to probable. We figured he was going to play. Now it's basically official, and that line is on the move. A line may be on the move in New York. The Jets and the Dolphins for a divisional matchup. Very interesting game, and the Jets are a home dog catching 3 points. You ask yourself, how can you lay points on the road with Miami? But we are seeing money start to come in on New York. I understand it. James, we talked about this one last night. This is going to be a wild game. I mean, if you're betting this game, buckle up. It ought to be an AFC East showdown that you will remember and maybe be pulling your hair out all afternoon.
Well, sure. I mean, that's the interesting piece here with Tua taking the ball out of Tua's hands. He's thrown 14 picks so far this season. It's been the running game with Achane being the feature back consistently, staying healthy. I think that's been the knock on his career, is just being able to stay healthy, running the football. But can the Jets take advantage of that on the defensive side, Pritch? The issue for the Jets, they've been more competitive the last few weeks. Found a win last week against Atlanta, which a lot of teams have done so far in the second half of the season. But thinking about where the Jets are, only 2 takeaways on the season for this defense. Can they get some off of Tua and stay in this game up in New York?
Yeah, this is a difficult one for me because to me, it's about the coaches and can they get these players motivated enough to play. The Dolphins on the road in this game, I love what McDaniel has done in terms of galvanizing this team and certainly embraced them a different way, and they've responded. Whereas Aaron Glenn too, though, I mean, they got rid of some great players, and they've responded as well too in terms of the effort. So this is going to be all about effort. I can't call it, to be honest with you guys. I mean, it could be a good game to watch, but it could be a bad game to watch as well.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough one to predict. I think it'll be entertaining. It ought to be good between the Dolphins and the Jets. We'll see if it makes our card. When we come back, one of the most impactful games as far as playoffs are concerned, the Ravens and the Steelers, right here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
We will get to the Ravens and the Steelers momentarily, but there is a game that steps ahead of that one. Very exciting. We stay in the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns will host the Tennessee Titans, right? Mike, a dandy here. Arguably the two worst teams in the NFL. The Raiders might have something to say about that, but boy, James said it last night. First 1 to 10 wins this game. What do you do with this one? The Titans looking for win number 2. Shadur Sanders looking for a win at home.
Yeah, this is interesting because the storylines haven't really developed. In the storyline being that Cam and Shadur are really tight friends, right? I mean, they work out together, they compete together, certainly in off seasons, even when they were in college. Actually, go back to high school if you think about it, how long this relationship has been. So you think about that and like what they're thinking as they go into the game and they're going to face each other, right? And so, are they going to try to do the extraordinary? Is Shadur going to be able to be consistent and break some bad habits? Is Cam going to be able to move this ball against this defense? I look at 48 sacks for Cam Ward in that offensive line against this defensive front, and the fact that Myles Garrett is closing in on a record. I mean, he goes up and down the line of scrimmage. He can line up anywhere and everywhere. The Titans have struggled all year long with consistency on the offensive side of the ball. If Shadur can put together some plays, and I think they can. I think they can put together enough plays here. But would I use it for the contest with you guys? I can't recommend that, guys. I really can't. But I think this is one of those games where we see these quarterbacks do some great things, and then we also see these quarterbacks maybe do some horrific things. But the constant for me is just that defensive front, James, against the offensive line for the Tennessee Titans.
4 more sacks for Garrett to get that record. He might get it in this game. You mentioned how many times Cam Ward has been sacked. Some of that's on him as a rookie. Not a good offense, not a good offensive line. Definitely haven't been helped by his coaching staff, even the changeover with some of the play calling that they've had. But yeah, I think it'd be, for me, the weather's going to be ugly there. It's going to be a lot of snow coming in. Not super windy, but cold and snow. Perfect game for Cleveland weather. Is this the game that Titans want to step in there and keep competing? They've been playing hard, although they pretty much got wiped out last week by Jacksonville. Not a game I really want to handicap. I haven't put a whole lot of time in this. It's an ugly game. If I bet it, I got to watch it, and I really want to do that. So this is a pass for me, Brady.
Well, James, I know you'll be thrilled to be on the Steelers. What did you call them? The over-the-hill gang. Boy, the Steelers and the Falcons have been our kryptonite this season. Can't seem to figure out either of these teams. Looked like a good spot for Pittsburgh last week. They're winning in the first half. Didn't turn out that way. And it looks like too many points to give them this week in a classic rivalry with the Ravens, James. I don't know. Can you go back to the well with Aaron Rodgers and company?
I'm done with the Steelers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and the play calling for that matter. I mean, we know what Aaron Rodgers' limitations are. He's not going to throw the ball down the field. They go get DK Metcalf and they use him like he's like he's just running slant routes. I mean, this is a guy that's been vertical his entire career, getting over the top, and he just doesn't have it. That's their running game, is the short passing game out of Rodgers. And it's been the same thing week in and week out. Pittsburgh competes in the first half, and we just see the age throughout the game. I mean, Pritch, you've said it prior to the season about this roster and how old they are. I think you said the same thing about the Ravens, but we really see it in real time with the Steelers. They are just getting absolutely blitzed in the second half. I don't want to play this game in the contest, but I am looking at, I know separate from the contest, looking at betting. I'm hopeful that it's a close game at halftime, because we've seen it week in and week out with the Steelers just fading and just getting worn down. And that's a bet against come second half as far as live betting is concerned. But here, I think the last time we saw them was last year in the playoffs, where Derrick Henry just ran all over the Steelers. And we've seen plenty of teams doing that again this season. Do we get a repeat performance? For me, it's Baltimore or nothing. I want nothing to do with the Steelers, Mike.
Well, you know how I feel about Baltimore. I mean, I've been down on the Ravens all year long, and I've been talking about Lamar Jackson has lost a step too. Now Hall of Famer Steve Young comes out and says the exact same thing I'm saying, and everybody's paying attention to it now. But he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think people are going to listen to him when it comes to that position. But yeah, no, Lamar Jackson is not the same player. He's lost a step before he was banged up, and now he's dealing with about 3 different injuries, and that offense is up and down. This is a lot of points for the Ravens, and maybe you look at the Steelers being a public team. You look at the fact that, okay, Aaron Rodgers, you really want to give that many points to the Steelers. But you alluded to it, James. I mean, offensively, what's going on with the Steelers is just Arthur Smith versus Aaron Rodgers. And that's always going to be a case when you have a quarterback jumping from team to team with his philosophies and his way of doing things and locked in as a Hall of Famer. He's not going to budge off of what an offensive coordinator might want to do or might want to conceive. So the Steelers are going to struggle with that. And I don't know how they fix it automatically. A lot of grumbling going on right there too. I could tease the Ravens, to be honest with you guys, but from a contest standpoint, I can't recommend either side.
How about the Pritchard Bowl down in Atlanta? The Falcons, Mike, you were invited to the Legends of the Game reunion there in the ATL. They will take on another former team of yours in the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle on the road for the 3rd time in the last 4 weeks, laying a touchdown at Atlanta, Mike.
Yeah, this is a Pritchard Bowl. Back in the day, the Pritchard Bowl was the Super Bowl with the Broncos and the Falcons. But this is going to be an emotional game because, like I said, a lot of players from the past are going to go to the ATL, like you said, Brady, and hang out with the organization. And but I had played for both of these 2 teams, so I could oscillate between sidelines if I want to. Seattle brings a lot of miles in this one. We've talked about this off air, but they've logged a lot of miles in travel. I wonder if that can rear its ugly head a little bit in this one with some energy in that building. Kirk Cousins as well. This is going to be his 4th game, I believe, to where now he can kind of sit in and kind of understand and really settle in as a starter. So the Falcons, you know how I feel about them. They're so talented, but they underachieve. But with 7 points, I mean, in that environment, I think there's a chance here for the Falcons to get inside that number.
James, I know you don't like to stomach betting on the Steelers. Can you handle another week with the Falcons?
Only because it would be a contrarian play when we're talking about the contest. I got to imagine that the Falcons are going to be way down towards the bottom of the list with people wanting to take them and put their contest play on the line.
Big play on the other side. We get to the Jaguars and the Colts when we return.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Welcome back. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. And a big one in the AFC South with the division on the line in Jacksonville. They have always been a kryptonite for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts will visit North Florida and Trevor Lawrence as a 1.5-point favorite in the contest. And some disagreement here on the panel. James, I feel the situation benefits the Colts. A buy low situation on them, having lost 2 in a row, a sell high situation on the Jaguars, who have won 3 in a row. You're going the other way. You kind of like the home team here.
I do like the home team. Thinking about, well, a couple things with where the Colts are and the issue with the fracture in the leg for Daniel Jones and how that's impacted this offense and really him being able to get outside a lot. They ran a lot of play action, a lot of boots, getting him outside the pocket. Obviously, that hasn't been the case the last few weeks because of that injury. And then you think about the splits. And let's talk about the first split. The Jacksonville Jaguars have dominated this series over the last 10 years down in Jacksonville. The last time the Colts have won down in Jacksonville was 2014. So it's been 10 plus years since they've won down there. And we know it's been a house of horrors. Folks that have played Survivor, they know that for sure. I could think of multiple years early in the season where it was Indy's going to be the runaway in Survivor, and they're knocking people out in the first week of the season, losing to Jacksonville. Now you flip on the other side and you think about the defense for the Jaguars, and that's really what's got me on this side. It's not so much the offense for the Jags, it's the defense, the pass rush, but ultimately their ability to stop the run, and we're going to see that come to fruition, I think, in this game against this Colts team. It's been Jonathan Taylor, but I mentioned the splits. Think about the splits for Jonathan Taylor. In 3 games at home, his last 3 games at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 546 yards and 4 touchdowns in 3 games in Indy. 4 games down in Jacksonville, 172 yards total. No touchdowns, and we're going to have bad weather. It's going to be rain and thunderstorms down there. To me, that indoor team having to go back to the house of horrors, I think it's a psychological thing that they're carrying away. It's like Buckner walking back into Shea and seeing all the mopes and the musty smell at the tables. That's what it's going to be for the Indianapolis Colts coming back into Jacksonville. I like the Jags in this matchup, Pritch.
Yeah, are the Colts mutters? I mean, I don't know if they are, especially when they're used to playing on turf. And then, like James alluded to there, Brady, I mean, it's the number 1 ranked defense against the run. And that's about attitude, right? And then you think about energy too. You're looking at a division situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence has played decent football at home. But defensively, I think this is a chance with the energy in the building, the home field advantage there, to really play with a lot of energy and a lot of speed. And you capitalize too with turnovers, +6 and a turnover margin as well. I mean, the Colts could be feisty in this one. Daniel Jones says he's feeling better, but sometimes you can talk yourself into a situation, meaning you're trying to give confidence to Shane Steichen and call him for plays and open up the playbook. But they're going to have to run it. And I think Jacksonville's going to run it as well. With the point spread where it's at right now, too. I mean, to me, from a contest standpoint, it could be popular, but it does make sense to side with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game.
I really believe that the vote is probably going to be split on this game. I've heard very, astute opinions on both sides of the fence, and I think this will be a good game to watch for sure. A great divisional battle. Another good one, the rivalry, maybe the most historic in the NFL, the Chicago Bears visiting Lambeau Field and the Packers, James. Are the Bears for real? They're in first place in the division.
I think this is the matchup. I mean, think about where the Bears have been. Really impressive last week on that Black Friday game in Philadelphia, rushing the football and committing to the run. I mean, that's what offensive linemen like to do. Get in that 3-point stance, get hand in the dirt and go plow guys. And that's exactly what they did and took the heart from the Philadelphia Eagles in this matchup. But now going on the road, a lot of expectations for the Bears now. They're the underdog. And I'm surprised this number is where it is at 6.5, considering how well they've been playing. But now they're going to be a favorite to win the division. And this is a huge game, and they're going to be sandwiched. They're going to play each other again in a couple weeks. But the bright lights are on, even though it's going to be cold in there. Single digits, I think, come second half for this matchup. And the Bears are used to playing in the cold. But I think here in this matchup, fellas, this game here with the Bears, they got to prove it to me on the road. I think this is a game where Green Bay shows up. They come completely focused. They've played in so many high leverage games versus what the Bears had played in, Brady. I think this side here, even though we'll lay it, maybe that's the popular side to go the other with the Bears. I like the contrarian side here with the Packers at home.
When we come back, another divisional tilt that I believe will be the most popular play in Circa Survivor when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling-free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
Check us out online, everybody. It is footballcontestshow.com. All the information, where you can find us, all of our picks, YouTube, podcasts, you name it, all there at footballcontestshow.com. SuperContestChampions.com. We shift gears and we start talking Survivor. And gentlemen, the last couple of weeks for Circa Survivor players has been brutal. They're down to just 45 entries left. And if you look at the biggest favorites on the board this week, the Ravens, only 5 entries, still have the Ravens available to use. The Seahawks, only 4 have the Birds available. The Packers, only 3 entries, have Green Bay available. The Broncos, also only with 3 entries. And then the Rams, another big favorite, only 8 entries have the Rams remaining as available. The 38 entries remaining of 45 have the Buccaneers. Mike, I believe we venture into the NFC South once again. I think the Buccaneers are going to be the most popular Survivor play in Circa this week.
I agree with you 100% on that, Brady, and good luck to everybody, because you're going into a division that has burned me time and time again. And I hope for a Survivor standpoint, it does not happen that way, because I want to see this thing play out from a game theory standpoint and the competitiveness, because once again, this contest has proven itself to be on par with what, as players, we went through on the league. I mean, in the month of December, as you're trying to get to the playoffs, this is a whole new season, right? And you got to change a lot of things if you can. You got to evolve a lot of different ways if you can, because there's so much tape out there on you. There's so many tendencies out there. You have to break tendencies. You have to be different. You certainly have to be better. And I think from a Survivor standpoint, you have to eye the Christmas Day schedule with this many people involved. Now, you can go contrarian and you can roll the dice if you want to, but I think if you made it this far, you've got this thing mapped out. So you're looking at the Christmas Day schedule. If you have the Broncos available, that one gets tricky, because what if the Broncos have home field advantage sewn up? And the Chiefs are fighting for a playoff spot? What do you do? And then, okay, you got the Cowboys and the Commanders. I don't, the way that the Cowboys are going, I don't know what you can do in that game. And then, the Lions and the Vikings. So the Lions are going to be fighting for and jockeying for position from here on out. We know that. But can they stay healthy? They are a powerful team when they are healthy and when they are prolific too offensively. You know that. But defensively, they just lost Branch. He's got a torn Achilles. He's gone. They're so thin in the secondary now. So you got so many things to factor in now as you play week to week in the month of December, that's why I love this contest. I mean, it's so much, it mimics the game in so many different ways. So yeah, I think this week, Brady, surviving is certainly what you want to do. If you have Tampa Bay available, you cross your fingers, you hedge it too, for sure. If you can, but certainly I think the Buccaneers are going to be very, very popular this weekend.
Hey, Pritch. So thinking about, we know this division, it's been the nemesis for us for this season, but for Survivor players, think about back to week 10. We were talking about Tampa, and yes, they will be based on availability and the matchups, et as far as where one team's going north, the other team's going south in that NFC South division. But the last time the New Orleans Saints were played against in Survivor, it was all teams, the Panthers. If you remember back in week 10, the Panthers were the top selected play in Circa Survivor. It was 20, they were about 28%, almost 30% of the contest took the Panthers over New Orleans. They scored 7 points. They got knocked out of the contest as New Orleans won on the road 17-7. The last time the New Orleans Saints played Tampa Bay, it was in New Orleans back a couple months ago, and it was week 8, and they got worked, right? 23-3. That's when they made the shift and the switch at quarterback from Ritter now to Tyler Shuff. Haven't seen anything really out of the Saints to say, yes, this is going to be the spot where they can be the Survivor killer again, Brady, but just food for thought. Yeah, I agree with you. Tampa will be the top selected play in Circa Survivor this week, but the last time the Saints were in that role, they come up victorious and knocked out a third of the field almost in Circa Survivor in week 10.
And they have absolutely been a nemesis for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially in Tampa. They have covered a very high percentage of these contests against the Buccaneers. Even when Tom Brady was there, the Saints have really been a thorn in the Buccaneers' side. I like them plus the 8.5 points here. Now, you try to thread the needle. Tampa Bay wins, but the Saints cover. risky business when you're talking Survivor. Another one that is very interesting, the Broncos here in Las Vegas. We figured that stadium, Allegiant Stadium, will be 60, 70% orange and blue and not silver and black. Mike, the Raiders look like an absolute mess, but once again, they seem to be taking some money here, catching 7.5. The Broncos, you got to figure, win this game. Only 3 people have them available in Survivor. Are they going to use them?
It gets interesting because I just mentioned the Christmas Day schedule. And like, okay, the Broncos and the Chiefs, why would you save that unless you have both available and you go Oppo, okay, now you're going to win the thing. They could be popular. I mean, if you have multiple entries, and I think we there's some players out there that have multiple entries, you wonder how they're going to divvy this up. And I would say, because the Broncos are in the situation that they are, and trying to get home field advantage, and certainly trying to make that contest against the Chiefs a contest where they can sit out, right? They don't really have to play that game, because that's a tough place to play anyway, as we know, and that's a rivalry situation. But no, the Raiders are a complete and utter mess, Brady. I mean, Pete Carroll wanted a head coach on the offense. That head coach failed him miserably. And so you look at the Raiders defense, and they have really not had a chance to play complementary football because the offense has not been good at all. Geno Smith, are they going to bench him? I mean, there's so many questions. I don't think they will, because of the loyalty factor that Pete Carroll has for that guy. So now he's a sitting target in that pocket with an offensive line that can't block, that can't move anybody. They don't want to. And then also they don't know how to. And then also now you got to protect them in the pocket, and against that pass rush, that just does not compute. I think the Broncos can play a lousy game and still dominate this football game coming up this weekend.
I agree, Pritch, and I think that's where from not so much Survivor, but thinking about from a contest perspective, I think this will be a highly picked game when it comes to the Broncos side. The Raiders might be the least amount of teams selections in that, unless folks are going completely contrarian. We've talked about where we are kind of hanging around, need to make a little zigzag move here in the contest to move up the ladder. But I don't want to play the Raiders as that zigzag move. I do. I think Denver goes in. It's going to be, we saw Dallas go in, and a few guys got suspended or, had to sit the bench for the first quarter or the first drive from the Dallas Cowboys because they were hanging out at the craps table too long. I think Denver's already been to Vegas plenty of times. This is going to be strictly business for the Denver Broncos. They are in contention for the number 1 seed in the AFC going into the playoffs. So all business for the Broncos. I like it. Lay the 7.5, Brady.
Another division game in the other desert down in Glendale, the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Los Angeles Rams, who are off of a loss, laying big points on the road, James. Survivor, you got to figure some people are going to be on the Rams. Would you want to mess with this game?
This would probably be the spot. I think, thinking about it, if you still have the Rams available, just where Arizona is right now, a lot of competitive efforts, but it seems like they've been more competitive on the road than they have been at home. Last time at home in the division, San Francisco throttled and put up 40+ points on the board, and a lot of injuries right now for Arizona. I think that's the staggering part. I think Stafford gets back on track offensively. They put points on the board, win the game. I don't know if they cover, but definitely win the game on the road in Arizona.
3 more games to cover. They're all good ones. Stick around. We'll be right back with more on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Las Vegas isn't just a place to play, it's a great place to live. Louis Payon with Magenta Real Estate is a trusted 5-star real estate professional who's called Vegas home for over 3 decades. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Louis will guide you every step of the way with proven strategies that deliver results. Call Louis today at 702-849-7160. That's 702-849-7160. Louis Payon is the official realtor of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Want to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed. Covering Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Grandissimo, and every super contest at the Westgate SuperBook. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 20 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
Welcome back. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady, Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. Down to the final 3 games on the Week 14 card. 5 weeks remain in Las Vegas football contests around the city. Survivor and against the spread. We're talking against the spread. We spoke Survivor in the last segment. Now we're talking against the number, and we begin in Orchard Park, New York. A rematch. Remember the playoff game a couple of years ago when Joe Burrow and company went into town in the snow and beat Buffalo? They're trying to do it again. They're catching 5.5 points, James. Burrow looks so darn good on Thanksgiving. This ought to be a dandy. Another one between the Bills and the Bengals.
Pretty amazing. You think about Burrow being out basically the majority when you go down in week 2 of the season. So almost 3 months of not being able to get out there and get his timing back. We know the speed of the NFL and how fast it is, although Pritch has definitely pointed out how slow and old that Ravens team looks, and they definitely showed out last Thursday night on Thanksgiving, losing at home to Cincinnati. But Burrow, you think the game is going to be super fast, going to take him a little while to catch up, but the game looks like, it's a 100-mile-an-hour game, and it looks like it's going 5 miles an hour for him. Just such confidence out there. Great. Forget about the skill set of being able to put the ball on time, on target, and also reading defenses, but just the confidence that he brings to that team, the competitiveness and how he raises the level of play from everybody. Now you're going to go to Buffalo. And I know the Cincinnati, their record is really, it's crazy that they still have an outside shot. If you look at the schedules and what they have left remaining on deck compared to what Pittsburgh and Baltimore have remaining on deck. I mean, this is an opportunity for Cincinnati. I think there's still plenty of life, Pritch, for Cincinnati going into this matchup in Buffalo. You're getting 5.5. Now, some of the big keys for the Buffalo defense. We know that their struggle against the run. It's not like Cincinnati is a great rushing team, although I will tell you this. Chase Brown has set a franchise record in Cincinnati the last 6 games going over 100 yards of scrimmage. So obviously it's some catching the ball out of the backfield too, but some of the key players with a lot of injuries for Buffalo that are already out for the season. We know that, especially Ed Oliver in the middle, but now Bernard, one of their top tacklers at the linebacker spot, not going to play in this game. Joey Bosa, who had the big strip sack fumble against Aaron Rodgers, starts the second half in Pittsburgh last week, out with a hamstring injury as well. 5.5 points, Pritch. I'm on board. I like Cincinnati in this spot.
Yeah, you think about Buffalo and they're that finesse team, right? And you got 11 personnel coming to town with Joe Burrow and company. And we kind of match up well with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and, trying to throw the football around the yard. But Buffalo's different. I have not had confidence in their defense all year long. I mean, Josh Allen has been Josh Allen at times, and he's willed his way to some victories and certainly played his way to some victories. But I don't think it's a coincidence that you have Kansas City kind of declining, coming back to the bunch. You have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens kind of declining. And now you have Buffalo, in that same fashion, I believe. But you're talking about these quarterbacks that came in together. Now, Patrick Mahomes a year earlier, but certainly from a starting standpoint, took off when Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson got into the league. So we're talking about 8-9-year veterans here, and teams get older. I'm here to tell you, NFL is all about young players and growth. And I think Kansas City, when you look at Buffalo, there's no growth. They have discipline problems too with some of their players, and they're just not the same outfit. So is there a chance for the Bengals and being prolific and say, you know what, this is who we are. Joe Burrow is ready to go. Let's just throw the ball. Can they cover Jamar Chase? I don't know. Let's find out. I don't think they can. I agree with you, James. I think Cincinnati has a chance, if not even to win this game, but certainly from a point spread standpoint, that back door, we talk about that being open often. Cincinnati is going to go down fighting, and so is Buffalo. Buffalo is in a uncomfortable situation trying to fight just to make the playoffs, and I wonder how they're going to handle that as well. Not only from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. Have not been in this situation in a long time, Brady.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to the Cincinnati defense. Will they play like they did last week against the Ravens? Of course, Cincinnati coming in with extra rest against the Buffalo Bills as well. Ought to be a good one to watch, whether we're on this one or not. Let's move to another one that ought to be a dandy. This is Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead Stadium, the Chiefs. And it feels like this is going to be a broken record. The Chiefs have their back against the wall. I think they're going to have their back against the wall the rest of the season. They come off of a loss on Thanksgiving to the Dallas Cowboys. They come into this contest with extra rest, James, against a red-hot Houston Texans team that all of a sudden is in the thick of it in the AFC South for that division title.
Defense has been carrying this team all season long. One of the best defensive fronts, especially the bookend pass rushers that we know that are on that Houston Texans side. And everything's pointing against the Chiefs here, right? Not only where they've been, think about how many miles they've got, competitive game miles for the last 10 years. No one has played more games at high leverage than the Kansas City Chiefs. They get everybody's best shot week in and week out. We know that for Mahomes, backs against the wall. All the cliches are there for them to have to win. And in the contest, they are a 3.5 point and 3 point favorite, respectively, for SuperContest. And with Circa, this feels like this Texans side is going to be one of the top 3 selections I anticipate in both contests here. Getting back to the other side here, Pritch, thinking about contrarian sides. I mean, to me, this is almost the ultimate contrarian side saying, let's take the Chiefs, even though that offensive line's banged up. Everybody's against the wall, but we know Mahomes has won the last 5 straight games against the Texans. Can we go contrarian here and take Kansas City laying that number?
I mean, we can. The thing about this game, fellas, is the better in me would certainly look at the Texans and like a lot of things on that side of the ball. I like I just mentioned previously, this is a young person's game, and you think about the makeup of that Texans team. You think about their head coach too, and the energy that they play with. CJ Stroud hasn't been consistent. They kind of jostled some offensive coordinators, but they're running the ball. They're getting back to some basics and simplifying the game a little bit. Now, from a contest standpoint, game theory, it does make sense to go contrarian here because we want to try to catch up with people. So can we back the Chiefs, fellas, at home with their backs against the wall with number 15 leading the way?
One more game to go, and our picks next on the final segment of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show in Week 14.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady, Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. It is time to get to our selections. Quarter number 4, the final quarter begins in Circa Sports Million. A number of mini contests still going in the SuperContest, and of course, the big prize still on the line with 5 weeks in the regular season left to go. We're going to go with the Vikings, and we're going to eat that awful number. Jaden Daniels looks like he will play. The Commanders have moved into the role of the favorite. We're going to play the Vikings as a 2-point favorite in the SuperContest, a 2.5-point favorite in Circa Sports Million. Daniels or no Daniels, I think Minnesota wins this game. The Falcons +7, a tough spot for the Seattle Seahawks with a lot of travel as of late. Atlanta catching the full 7 points in both contests. The Green Bay Packers at home hosting the Chicago Bears, a good divisional matchup here between two of the top teams in the NFC. The Packers laying 6.5 in both contests. The Bengals on the road at Buffalo. Yeah, we're going to buy into the Joe Burrow deal. +5.5 at Buffalo. We'll see if Joe Cool can get it done on the road. And then finally, the Chiefs. We're going to eat somewhat of a bad number here. A lot of 3.5s in the live market right now. But we're going to back Patrick Mahomes and company -3.5 in the SuperContest, -3 in the Circa Sports Million. Gentlemen, that is our card. Of course, we always reserve the right to change it. Don't have to turn it in until Saturday afternoon. But we do have one more game left to cover, the Monday Nighter. And this is a very interesting game. I kind of like the Chargers here catching points, But what is the status of Justin Herbert and that surgically repaired non-throwing hand? James, Eagles laying 2.5 here on the road. You want any piece of this one?
I don't want the Eagles whatsoever. We've seen that all season long. The offensive side, the struggles that they've had, really kind of basic offense as far as the passing game is concerned, and a lot of criticism going on. Forget about the media and the fans, just in that locker room. We know AJ Brown's he's getting on the social media week in and week out crying about whether the offense is what it looks like, getting his touches, all those kind of things. But just not a clear direction with this new offensive coordinator coming in for the Super Bowl champs this season. And now you've got, and Lane Johnson's been a huge loss for them up front. Leader up there, one of the best offensive tackles in the game. And now Jalen Carter not going to play in this game. He's having some shoulder issues, so he's not going to play in here. No, there's plenty of talent on the defensive side here, Pritch, but the other side, that's what concerns. I mean, it's a banged up offensive line for the Chargers. There's a reason why poor Herbert is in the condition that he is in. Even it was the Raiders still got after him and put him on the ground, and really gnarly injury that we saw with his hand last week. I suspect he's going to play. It's a team that's fighting to get into the playoffs, but with having surgery earlier in this week and a plate or a pin, whatever is in that left hand, yeah, it's not his throwing hand, but it's really going to change the offense. Is he going to be able to get under center and take any snaps? Is everything going to have to be in shotgun, running out of the pistol? How does he hand the football off? Just for me, a lot of questions about Herbert's. Now, I think the availability will be there, but his capacity to be able to do other things besides throw the football, I think it's going to be really limited. How does that impact the offense in this matchup with the Chargers, Bridge?
Yeah, you wonder, James, if he can finish the game, right? I mean, if he takes a couple of hits on it, or if he falls on his hand and the pain is just so intense that he can't finish it, that's something you got to think about. The other thing I'm thinking about is, the Eagles are. I know there's a lot going on with the Eagles, right? But they're the defending Super Bowl champions, and it seems like they've coasted through the season. And I wonder if they can turn it up in December. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that because they got Saquon Barkley, they got AJ Brown, they got Devontae Smith, they got all these superstars, right? They got Jalen Hurts. I mean, they got so much, but the wear and tear and the rigors of trying to repeat, that can change a person, that can change a locker room, and we've heard those dynamics kind of play out too. So from a roster standpoint, you still like the Eagles though, but with Harbaugh and the job that he's done. And if Herbert can stay upright throughout this entire game, those fellas are going to fight for him, man. And to be honest with you guys, the Chargers like to fight. The Chargers like to be physical. And certainly defensively, they love to be physical. So the Eagles are going to have their hands full. And if they're not executing, absolutely, there's a chance for the Chargers to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I like Los Angeles here. I made the game a pick'em. The big question mark is the health of Justin Herbert. That offensive line, keep him upright. That is going to do it for us. Best of luck to all of you in week 14. We're knocking on wood over here, hoping we have another good week and keep it rolling. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week for week 15 in Las Vegas football contest action.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.